friends, my name is Marines, and I went to the first ever NerdCon Stories. Earlier this year, I went to VidCon and I had a wonderful and mostly positive experience there. So when it was announced that the same team was putting on a new event, I was intrigued, and when I found out that that event was about storytelling, I was sold. I had a lot of thoughts and feelings about the event, and I'm going to talk about them now, obviously, but I wanted to start off this video by saying that I truly enjoyed myself. It was well organized, the panelists were all stellar, I met some really amazing people, and overall I just feel really appreciative of John and Hank Green as they continue to create these spaces for people who love media. Just in an effort to organize my thoughts, I've listed a few things out, so here we go. This is 10 things about NerdCon Stories. Hank Green mentioned in his opening talk that this was very much experimental. He had this idea for what it would be. They worked it all out, but I'm sure there are some things they didn't know about NerdCon until the event was actually happening. Some of that feeling of we're just here to see what happens was definitely felt in the event itself. The event was much smaller than VidCon and it felt more intimate. I saw a lot of authors walking around and people would stop them and say things like, "I love your work," or "that was a great panel," but I personally did not see any instances of fan personing to an extreme or uncomfortable level. And that feeling of, we're all just here to see what this is was a nice kind of atmosphere. There were a couple of small things that I think may have been first event oversights, or maybe not. Maybe they were purposeful choices that I just am not privy to. But again, they're just super small things that I thought maybe could be tweaked for the next time around. For instance, we all got a schedule and in the back were author bios, but there were no Twitter handles to go with the author bios. So I was trying to live tweet some of the sessions, but I would have to pause frequently to find out if somebody speaking had a Twitter or what their Twitter handle was, when you could just encourage that kind of conversation by including a Twitter handle. There were a couple of main stage items that also didn't work for me, and one was Mad Libs, and just the logistics of having thousands of people yell out parts of speech to one person on stage was a little bit questionable to me. Number 2, NerdCon lacked a sense of focus and community that VidCon had. Again, it's a little bit unfair to compare the two considering that this is the first year for NerdCon and VidCon has been going on for a while now. But just to give you an idea of the feeling of the event, in terms of focus, I'm not entirely sure what I was supposed to walk away from the event with, and that wasn't a make or break it item for me. It was just a wonderful time to simply bask in the goodness of storytelling for a couple of days, but there definitely didn't feel like an end game. Was I there to listen to some of my favorite creators talk, to improve my own craft, to discuss trends in media? I'm not entirely sure, and of course that leads to my other point about the sense of community. At VidCon, no matter if you were there as a community member, creator, industry track, which they had the different tracks this past year, you knew that the commonality there was that everybody was interested in online video. You could say that for NerdCon Stories, that thing was stories, but that's a little broader and less concrete. Like, oh, you like stories? I like stories too. Number 3, and this always seems to be the case when you're having a good time, but NerdCon felt especially short to me. I don't know if that was just me or if anybody who was there would agree that it felt like a short event, but because of the way that the schedule worked out, obviously there were multiple things happening at one time, so you could basically attend the morning and afternoon main stage events and then 6 additional panels across the 2 days. The thing that I disliked most of all, and again, I'm sure they had perfectly good reasons for setting it up this way, but it was so difficult, is that they had the signings at exactly the same time as the panels. So to attend a signing, you had to miss one of the 6 panels that you could go to anyways. The entire weekend I was struggling with the decision of whether or not sitting around for an hour for a couple of minutes with an author was worth the loss of one of only 6 panels. On that note, number 4, I did attend a signing. I really wanted to see John Scalzi. Like, he was the one person that I wanted to go and meet, but his signing was during the diversity panel. Oh, After that, I figured maybe I'd meet Rainbow Rowell, but my hang-up there was that I own all of her books except for Fangirl, which was my least favorite. Still, I really just wanted to experience a signing, so I bought a copy of Fangirl. I bought 2 copies of Fangirl because I figured I would get both signed and give one away. During the course of the weekend, though, I kind of fell in love with Holly Black. I first read Holly in the early 2000s when Tithe came out. Since then, I've read The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, which I gave 3 stars, and The Darkest Part of the Forest, which I also gave 3 stars. So overall, I have like some 3-star level feels for Holly's writing, but she was so personable and hilarious. The funniest moment of the entire con came courtesy of Holly Black reading a story that she wrote in middle school. So anyways, the point is that I decided to also attend her signing. She was lovely and we chatted a little bit about our ColourPop lipsticks. I was wearing purple, she was wearing blue. We took this picture and I bought a copy of Tithe and she signed it for me. I love that signing to see that Rainbow's signings, both of them, because she had 2 hours that she was going to be sitting there, were full already. Well, the first one was full and the second one that was going to happen in 2 hours was already queuing up, and no, I just couldn't. So now I have 2 copies of Fangirl unsigned. Number 5, my favorite panel of the whole weekend was the Benefits of Diverse Stories panel, moderated by Liz Hara, featuring Desiree Birch, Jacqueline Woodson, Dylan Marin, and Jacqueline Carey. There were so many very important topics that were brought up during this panel, and everyone on it was very well spoken and brought a unique point of view. And it was things that weren't just like basic level diversity is important stuff we know if we're sitting in on a diversity panel, but they really went on to talk about things like code switching, the value of individual stories versus representative stories, and even the way that history is being rewritten when it comes to marginalized people. Obviously, I cannot do it justice in just this one video, but it was wonderful. Number 6, my least favorite panel is a tie. First is this a kissing book panel? Now I have to say that it wasn't necessarily anything that these people on the panel did wrong, because I understand that as an author, as a public figure, you have to be very careful with how you say things and what you say and the certain things that you criticize. Inevitably, the question of consent when writing sex scenes came up, and specifically the example of 50 Shades of Grey. Everyone was super wishy-washy about their answers, and one panelist even said that that kind of thing, presumably consent or lack of consent, belonged in erotica, and she didn't write erotica, so like, hands off. Again, like I said, I totally get that authors have to have a certain amount of decorum, and bashing another author's work is not something that they probably want to do. However, in a panel with one of the little subtopics was how far is too far, I feel like the panelists should have been prepared to answer these kinds of questions about how far is too far when you are writing a fictional work. It was the moderator, Jacqueline Carey, who finally and only was the only one to jump in and say that the hard line that kind of separates off sexual violence is consent. My second least favorite panel was the tropes, misinformation, and stereotypes panel. I will come out up front and say that I was put off from the beginning at the fact that there were 0 people of color on a panel about stereotypes and misinformation, and beyond that I just felt that it was a little bit superficial and that it was a lot of just, yeah, stereotypes are bad, and we didn't really go anywhere else besides, yeah, stereotypes are bad. It felt a little uncomfortable, and it looked like some of the panelists were also uncomfortable addressing the questions and the topic that was being presented. Number 7, I feel like the con did a really good job about including diversity within the panelists. I'm very happy that they chose to talk about diversity during this storytelling event. I was just a little surprised that we didn't talk more about it, though that may be a product of it just being such a short amount of time for us to really dive into such a broad subject. For the most part, what was mentioned was racial diversity. Of the panels that I attended in the main stages, mental health was brought up like 3 times, and all 3 of those times it was OCD. If you were in any panels where something else was mentioned, please let me know. I'm curious to see if mental health was tackled as a topic anywhere else. Body image was mentioned twice in the panels that I attended, and in passing, just a kind of like, oh, also it would have been nice for some body diversity, and then we moved on. I personally did not hear anyone talk about disabilities once. So those are kinds of things that probably for the next time it would be nice to touch on or to include when we're talking about the value of diverse stories or the individual story. These are topics that would be really nice to hear about. Number 8, in general, I felt about these panels the way that I felt about the panels at VidCon, and that is that they straddle a line between entertainment and education, and they don't really know which one they're supposed to be. For instance, at NerdCon there was a bettering your word doing panel that was supposed to be about honing your craft, and it was more that each writer spoke about their own process, their own craft, and the way that that has changed, which was valuable and really interesting to listen to. But it wasn't like go to this panel and walk away with anything concrete that you can apply to your own word doing. It just feels like the panels need a little bit more planning, and the make or break element to me for sure is the moderator. You can stack the panels all you want, but you need to make sure you have a moderator that knows what they're doing, that knows how to guide the conversation, that knows what the conversation is about, that can jump in and save the conversation. So really the moderator is so key on these panels. Number 9, I will say that this whole experience was a really lovely and refreshing reminder that authors are people too. I know that's kind of weird to say, but obviously I'm very passionate about media critique and critiquing books, and I get very passionate about my book reviews, but it's nice to just kind of put in perspective that yes, these are things that are produced by real people. And there were instances, for example, when Lev Grossman was talking about his continuity errors and Holly Black was talking about her plotting problems, and I was like, yeah, you know about those? Apparently they do. So what I'm saying is that it was very cool to see another side of it that I usually don't. And finally, number 10, I would go back again if the price point was kept relatively low. I'm actually really curious to see year 2. I think I definitely will attend next year just to kind of see how things have progressed. As I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, I truly did enjoy myself, and I got to meet up with some old friends and meet some new friends, some people from BookTube like Diana over at Novelty and Caitlin from Book Chats. Meeting people from BookTube is amazing and has not gotten less amazing the more that I do it, so I was very excited that I got to spend a little bit of time with both of them. I think that's it. So if you have any questions for me about this event or about my experiences at the event, or any questions about the panels or what I heard or what I enjoyed, please feel free to leave those questions down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon. Warning that I could go on and on about diversity for years. Actual years. And we should probably meet again, ladies. I don't know if that sounded creepy.